What's up? This is King James. The sound wasn't very good on my last video, but the message I was trying to get across is that after 20 years of uh, stumbling blocks and hurdles, I finally was able to get my album out on everything. So physical, you can get it on digital, Spotify, iTunes, uh, Amazon, all that. Um, and I kind of got into some other things. So just pretend the last video didn't happen because the sound was horrible, and I'll just speak up. Uh, so a lot of people died, a lot of people cried, a lot of things happened on the way to me getting this album completed. I mean, it's a project that was in the work for a long time, and the oldest song on it I wrote in high school. Uh, so I mean, if that tells you anything about how long this has been going on, it's just what ended up happening to me in life was that on my way toward trying to get some music done, which was always, just a little passion of mine, some a hobby, if you will. Uh, I got a job. Life happened. I moved away from the ability to really have a studio to record in because, I moved out to Missouri, Kansas, back and forth Missouri to Kansas from California, which is where all my musician friends lived. But when I moved away, every once in a while, my friend Dan the man, he would fly me out sometimes so I could do some recording. So he was kind of a pivotal piece in all this, in a way. But ultimately, a lot of shit happened. I got a job as a carpenter, did all that, but eventually I lost that job. And after being out in Missouri for a long time, we moved back to California. Moved back to California so we could uh, take advantage of the green rush. You know what I'm talking about. But by the time I got out there, it was pretty much just a market where if you weren't already didn't already have a foothold, you weren't going to get in, and due to all of the moratoriums and things like that, it just made getting in any sort of business out there involving that impossible. But while I was trying to get all this done, the yard, my family's property, was dirty. The city started cracking down, so I helped clean it up. And in the process of doing that and getting everything set up for my showroom, uh, I ended up breaking my back to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. And then I was on the ground for like 6 months, couldn't walk, had to learn how to walk again. And then after that happened, I found myself having to move back in with my mom and shit. And things got really crazy after that. And my family ended up being homeless. Me, my wife, and our two daughters. And while we were homeless, I was still in California trying to figure out some way to exist now that I couldn't work anymore because my back was broken. Uh, Finished writing Lullaby around that time and recorded my first version of Lullaby. And it's still up on YouTube, and it's to this day horrible. But years later, about 4 or 5 years ago, I recorded a new version, and I had a friend that was actually like an R&B type producer. He recorded things that weren't really usually with the grit that I was used to working with. So recorded Lullaby and some other songs that also made it onto the album. But Lullaby was a song that, the process of it was in the middle of being homeless from having my back broken and not being able to work anymore and having family just act like family does sometimes and, things can get ugly. Um, but ultimately, so finally the technology evolved enough for a person like me to be able to lay on my back and record my album on my phone and my iPad. And that's what I've done. Every part of it, was has its own story, how it came about. But ultimately, yeah, I just put together some beats on my iPad. My friend James Moses did some great work, and he works on a lot more different types of software than me and hardware as well. He is a musician, so he just gave a little bit of gravity to my album in me pursuing pushing it out. And in the process, I finally decided I was just gonna get it done, get it out because people are doing that all the time now. But it's just I came from an era before mixtapes, you know, and like when mixtapes came about, I was like, well, what am I gonna do there? How you make money on that? And things didn't make sense way back in like the mid '90s. Been doing this for a long time because everyone starts young, but life happened. I got disabled. I had a job, started a family. All these things happened, and ultimately, I wanted to create an album that reflected my life, reflected who I was, how I got to be who I am, and reflected my values. Because people make the albums and people make music these days, and it's like they don't really commit to anything and they don't really have a story to tell because they haven't experienced life in a way that I have. And even if I hadn't experienced the life as I had, I've heard a lot of tales along the way, more than 40 years of tales. And, it's hard for a younger person to do that. And I've tried to create something very contemporary, just not really typical hip hop, something that you can, like some of the songs you can actually listen to with your mother in law while you're uh, driving somewhere, going to a soccer game. That's the type of album I did try to create. Now, some of the songs really aren't like that, but there's really nothing that's derogatory toward people or groups, individuals. Tried to make it really uh, non-political, but some of it comes out in songs like "They Don't Want to Talk About It," and I recommend everybody talk about "They Don't Want to Talk About It" because it sounds a lot like everything's coming out right about now, but it came out like almost a year ago. So for for what it's worth, what happened with my album was I tried to put it out, and I spent hundreds of dollars, and I got a CD all pressed up, and because I was going old school, thinking that's what I had to do. And I got it came with a digital package so that they would handle facilitating it on iTunes and all that shit. But what happened was it got stuck, like some kind of metadata conflict that never really got resolved. And they wanted me to just re-record something to replace a JFK speech, which is on the intro to my album. And I love the way Birth, the intro to my album, turned out. And they gave me a conflict for a song called After Me. And After Me, I made the beat from scratch, from nothing. I made that beat. Every part of it is me. And words of me. So that conflict came up, but it took them like 3 months to discover the conflict. And in the meantime, I wrote a song called The Kenosha Kid, put that out, tried to put it out through DistroKid, and DistroKid rejected it. They rejected it based on editorial discretion. No problem. I understand. So I went over and took it to CD Baby, and CD Baby put out The Kenosha Kid and didn't ask any questions. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to switch gears how I'm doing things. And then I took my entire project that I had submitted to CD Baby and spent all this money on, and I said, okay, you continue to handle the physical so people can buy it on Amazon, but what you can't do is handle the digital because apparently uh, the communication with some companies, everything is run automated. There's really no human people. There's no humans involved in your interaction with them. So I submitted it over to DistroKid, and after 20 years of trying to figure out how to get my own music out, uh, finally, it happened in a week, and now it's done. and now it's out there. And hey, you can listen to our Spotify. You don't have to buy anything. If you like anything, uh, then hey, tell a friend. We are in a community in which we understand that the economy comes from us. Nothing makes you but the people that are around you and the people that you're involved in. And unfortunately, it does all come back to politics, but to me, it's really about logic. And I hope that everyone supports independent artists, uh, supports independent content creators, uh, regardless of what your politics may be. Uh, I'm just gonna put this out there that I think that you should be supporting people like Bryson Gray. Uh, and despite me having some, things about how Tom McDonald has handled himself uh, for doing some DMCA claims on some people that gave him negative reviews, I still think that you should support him because what this movement needs is strength, and there is strength in numbers. And if someone does represent what you feel is important, then you should support them. And seeing the way that people that aren't uh, crazy uh, commies, the way that they support people and donate to them and bring them up and make it so that we're uh, building this person and building that person and making it so that they can stand on their own. And then what that does is they start helping people so that other people can stand on their own. I, I'm a hardcore capitalist, and I'm trying to filter into that and just being that, because really there's a lot of evils that's going on in our world right now, and the way to quash that down is to show what side of the fence you're on, because anyone who sits on a fence for too long ends up with a fence post up their ass. So let's show that we commit to logic, we commit to sanity, we oppose mandates, we oppose jabs, and we are Legion. So, talk to y'all later. Hopefully, you can hear this one. Peace.